Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the first bit of night of action here on the brand new F1 25 game. And God, it just looks the same as last year. There's no need to change it. It was fine as it is. I am Otaku Logan, brought to you by, well, actually not brought to you by, but bringing me alongside with this is Mr. Dake or Ghost or whoever it is. What would you like to be called?
Daka would be fine.
Daka.
Thank you very much, Logan. Good evening, everyone. And yes, well, first bit of action on the new game is a source of tremendous excitement. So I can't wait to see how everyone gets on. We've already got a bunch of on-track action, so I won't keep rambling for too long. But we've got a mega strong field here tonight. Let's see how they get on.
Yeah, we've got big names such as Sergioli, Oscar, Brando, Tony, Lifeboat, Voller Kongen, and loads more of our names. We were supposed to have Asm tonight. Unfortunately, they are not able to appear tonight. But we are here with 19 fabulous drivers on the grid, and we've got some qualifying laps, of course, 18 minutes of qualifying. You didn't miss much from the first few minutes because, of course, ignore that yellow flag, it's just drivers slowing down for other drivers. 18 minutes of qualifying, and then, of course, a 50% Grand Prix difference race as Tony sets aboard of 111.627. You know the Spain track. We don't have to go any further into it. I don't know if it hosted a PSGL race last season. I don't think it did.
I'm trying to think back through. I know we had one in the first season
Last game, sorry.
of the last game, but not last season. I don't believe in season 39. So yeah, this is a first time to the track in PSGL for a lot of these drivers, but they, as you said, everyone knows this track very, very well, so they're getting good lap times on the board already. And I'll tell you what, that time from Tony, very, very fast. I was expecting the pole to be around a mid 111. That's what the trend has been throughout the other social races we've had here at Catalonia throughout the week. So 111.6 from Tony already, very, very fast, considerably faster than everyone else who's come before. We're getting more and more drivers coming across the line to start laps or even finish laps further down the track. So the action is coming in thick and fast. But yeah, GT10 Tony off to a very strong start. 111.6, that is not a time to be sniffed at.
Absolutely not, but of course there is a long, long time to go. I think 13 minutes left. The timer is obscured by the yellow flag warning. You have 13 minutes, 46 seconds and counting. The yellow flag is for drivers that are slowing down to let drivers through. As you see, there's the Mercedes, which is pretty much the same as last year, bar the Ineos at the roll bar. And across the line, Finlay goes 6th. The biggest change, of course, being the Racing Bull. That's what it's called now, not V-Carb. Don't get them mixed up. Surely not. You can't. But white for the V-Carb, of course. And, of course, the Kick Sauber is now green at the front. The Alpine is back to blue and pink instead of just being only carbon fibre. The Ferraris, of course, running next to each other like usual. The Haas going much more white on the side pod, and of course, I think that's mainly it. Oh yeah, the game, I have to say, looks visually more appealing than last year. And I don't know if they've changed the engine or something, but it definitely looks much more realistic.
Yeah, I definitely prefer the look over the last game. I prefer most things, to be honest, in the time I've had. Even just driving the game, I think the handling's terrific. The way it races is very different too, which I think we'll get into more later on. But I think the dynamic of races could change when we do actually see these guys get back out on track altogether. At the moment, of course, they're just trying to get the fastest times possible, and they're pushing the handling to the very limits. Of course, one thing that's worth noting for tonight in this social race, as we are very early in the game, none of these drivers are running their own custom setups. They've been forced to pick between the game's preset setups.
Brilliant! I love it! Chaos! Organized chaos! Some variants going to be happening tonight. See Lifeboat driving in the car that was driven by a former PSGL top tier competitor, and Isaac Hadger. Yes, IGK Zach '06. You go back to the F1 2020 days. He was an F1 esports challenger as well. And now he's driving this car and has done better than both of Verstappen's teammates combined. Ha ha ha!
Well, yeah, that just shows this is the best place to start if you want to pursue any kind of career down the line in Formula One. As the Kickcyber Sergioli comes over the line, 1:11.8 to go into third position. The Ferraris too, PGR Brando at 1:11.9, Epic Vale behind on a 1:12.1 in the other Ferrari. Most of the drivers so far have been able to get themselves those that have set a time into the 1:11, so that's proving to be a bit of a benchmark for some of these drivers to go after. But Tony, still one of the first times that was set in this session, still comfortably the fastest. That 1:11.6 holding up very, very well as more and more drivers continue to pump in the times. We are nearly 8 minutes into the session, so Tony still on top, but with 10.5 minutes to go, there is a lot more to come.
Absolutely. Just checking what's happening on the other screen. Went to a safety car ending. Oh boy. So we have 16 of the 19 drivers. Unfortunately, Azam not being around means that there is only one. Only one of the. Trying to suss it out here. Only one Williams, I think. Yeah, only one Williams. So those being represented by Napple. Fortunately, it is not because of an injury. Like, it is unfortunately of the connection issues. Of course, there was an injury preventing there being a full grid last week. And I hope Lance Stroll, I know he gets a lot of slack at times, but you've got to remember he's a driver to begin with. Hopefully he makes a full recovery. Hopefully he'll be back for his home Grand Prix in 2 weeks' time.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure where his injury stands at the moment. I know it's linked to an injury that he picked up a couple of years ago. It has worsened.
Oh
So yeah,
no.
hopefully, so hopefully he is back in action very, very soon. Because yeah, I think an F1 grid with just 19 cars doesn't quite feel right. Well, hopefully the 19 drivers that we have here tonight, though, are going to put on a great show. I'm sure that they will, and we can get our first look, really, of where everyone stands on this new game. So we're deep into the session. I also can't quite see the session timer because of yellow flags. We've just crossed the halfway point, just under 9 minutes to go in the session. So we'll see how these guys get on as ET8 Ryderdahl is far along a lap, I believe, although never mind, he's 1.4 seconds down, so I don't believe that's going to be very competitive. He seems to have backed out of that one. So Tony's time still safe for the time being as we tick down in the session. That's holding up very, very well. A couple of drivers still yet to get times on the board, Vola Kongan and Mattia Manga, two of course highly capable drivers, but this is where you start to get a bit nervous. If you get this deep in the session, you don't have a competitive lap on the board. It puts just a little bit more pressure, a bit more tension on the last runs to come.
Yeah. Red Bull by day, Racing Bull by day, Red Bull by night. Sorry, I just couldn't help myself. You were talking over so much. I was prepared to make a funny joke there. Because, of course, the Red Bull is plastered onto the front of the cockpit. Oh, no. A collision already, and you get a 5-place grid penalty, of course, if you cause a collision. So I think we might have to restart after all. I know we were told that we were not going to restart, but yeah, that's not very fair. That's the way it goes. As you can see, the Alpine driver coming out the final corner. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, I'm gonna see if we get any updates on that, but yeah, there isn't any indication at the moment. I believe that we're going to get a lobby restart. We'll see, of course, if that does indeed change. That's probably going to need to go forward quite soon. So we'll keep an eye on that. But yeah, at the moment we're still going ahead as planned. Over to you, Logan.
So we've got, of course, Lawrence. We've got support for Lawrence in the chat. Hello to you. And this is the dominant car in the real F1 right now. Tony goes fastest by pretty much 600ths. But yeah, McLaren dominating the F1 season. I won't be surprised if they take down the Constructors' Championship for the second time in a row. It would be the first time since 1991 they would win consecutive Constructors' Championships. I think so. Is it? Or was it 1990? I can't remember who won it in. Oh yeah, they must have won it in 1991, surely.
I'm trying to think. Yeah, well, Senna won
Yes,
the
yes.
drivers' championship pretty comfortably. So yeah, I think that was theirs as well. Yeah.
Yes, of course, people will say, oh, what, they won it in 1999. No, that was Ferrari. They won the Constructors' Championship. But McLaren only won the Constructors' Championship in 1998. And this one, of course, only been their second championship since 1992. As we got another driver going up the order, I think that was Brando in the Ferrari.
Yes.
And they have only won two Constructors' Championships since 2005 when the rules were changed. And it benefited Michelin. Except at a certain American circuit. Hint, it's not Miami. It's not Miami. That's got an upgrade this year in the game, Miami. Also in the game, getting an upgrade is Bahrain. Australia, which looks amazing, by the way. It just looks so gorgeous. Imola as well has got an upgrade in terms of visuals, not vision. What else has been given an upgrade? LiDAR upgrades, that is.
Yeah.
Did Las Vegas get the licensed name for the casinos? Or is that the last game? I know they've got the Win, and like not all of them are. I think some of them are still not changed. Like I think Treasure Island is not changed, but we'll get to Vegas whenever we get it. Now, just a word. I'm having issues with life so far. Not big ones, but like issues that actually could persist and combine with this racing series. It means I may have to work Mondays, so I will let you know if I can make Mondays, but at this moment, I'm not getting my timetables until like a week before or 2 weeks before, and that's not very, very good planning from my place, so I'm not very happy with the current situation of my work. So that's all I'm going to say, because I don't really talk about work when I'm doing this. But basically, it's impossible for me to know if I'm going to be doing Mondays. Because I usually don't do Mondays, but of course, a certain thing happened in the news, if you know. Some people will know where I work. And that means I might have to work more Mondays now. It's not my fault, obviously, it's a company-wide issue. So it's unfortunate, but hopefully I can stick around and do as much as I can with you guys. But nothing is guaranteed as of yet.
Well, I think I can speak on behalf of a lot of people when I say that we certainly hope that you can continue on doing these Monday streams in the future. But yeah, hopefully that matter is resolved pretty soon. We shall see, though, as we back to the session, as we're under 3.5 minutes to go, and a lot of drivers are in that pit lane, so we're getting towards that point where we're going to start keeping a very close eye on the timing screens as drivers are about to head out for their final runs. Hazara is the first driver out on track in that McLaren, currently 16th at 8 tenths down on pole position, a 1:12.3, so he'll be certainly hoping for much more out of this final run. Every other driver, it seems, waiting an awful long time. Volo Kongon is out on track. He just set a lap to go 9th at 11.8. Gets back into the pit lane, and he should just about make it for another run, but it is relatively tight. So that's every driver off the track, bar the first couple that head out of the pits, and Hazara, who's furthest along in the McLaren. So Logan, we got to start keeping a very close eye on all these cars out on track, because these timing screens are about to light up.
Absolutely. Just a few seconds, guys, because I'm just going to try and log on to my. Sorry, guys. Something has come up. I'm still around. Don't worry. But yeah, right now we have all the drivers coming out on track for one final run in this session. Go to you, Daki.
So Hazara is the furthest of those drivers along on the track at the moment in the McLaren, but a couple of or tenth or so down, I should say, in that second sector. So we'll see what he can do at the end of the lap, but he's going to need a big run flat out around that final corner, coming up towards the line. 1:12.5 will not be good for any higher on the grid. So over to the rest of the grid. Let's see how they are going to stack up at the end of this session. So furthest along, I'm not quite sure who it would be. There's the Kicksauber of Tom who's just coming over the line to start a flying lap. Then it's the two Ferraris, then an Aston Martin. That's Lafitte, who's currently 8th in the session. So behind that, I'm still looking for a driver who's furthest along a lap. Could be the Alpine over Mattia Manga, but he is invalid on that lap, so we'll be starting no higher than 18th on the grid. Not the session that the Italian driver would have been after. So who else is going to step up to the plate? Oscar is heading around the last couple of corners. 400ths up on his lap time up the moment. Can he find more time? It's not quite enough to go in front of Lifeboat. 1,000th of a second shy of the time of the RB driver, so extremely close. Ryder Dahl, who's currently second in the session, had to back out of a lap, is going again. So can he find the 600ths of a second or so required to topple Tony? Tony himself is heading around the last sector out of turn 12, getting that Red Bull straightened up. He is slightly down on his lap thing up to this point. Sergio goes second and just barely misses out on the top spot. Can Tony push the bar even further? No, he can't. There is no improvement. So GT10 Tony remains on that 1:11.5. The Ferraris are next up. First up is going to be Epic Fail. He goes just 14th, up one spot. Brando out the final corner goes up into P7. A lot of these drivers seem very close to their limit, are struggling to eke out that last little bit of time. Lafitte, there's a good improvement, goes up into 4th position. Alex is heading out that final corner. He's just barely up, but finds a lot of time in that last sector, goes up into 3rd position. Ryder Dahl is still pushing out there, 300ths of a second down on his time at the moment, though. Can he find another blistering final sector to move his way back up into contention? Edwin Naslund is going to come over the line first, though. He goes through in P16. Behind that, I believe it's going to be Ryder Dahl, though, coming up towards the line. No, that is not going to be good for another improvement. Owen is next in the Aston Martin. He goes above his teammate for the evening. And just a last minute improvement. I believe that's from Lifeboat. Lauren's out on track. He's not improving. That brings the session to a close. And Tony, from start to finish, dominates this qualifying session.
Just to let you know, your microphone is crackling. I don't just sorry to mention it. It's just like it's kind of what's the effect? I'm not saying you're too loud, but I think it's like it sounds crackling when you're at volume.
Okay.
It's not your fault. I think it's the mic.
I'm really sorry if that's the case, and I hope that doesn't cause much more of an issue in the stream going forward. But nevertheless, that's going to bring the qualifying session to a close with Tony out on top from Sergioli on that front row. And well, in this lobby, we have 11 PSF1 drivers from last season, and you can certainly see it. The absolute standard of all these drivers out there getting into the 1:11.5s in Tony and Sergioli's case. But we'll just wrap up the grid very, very soon. Again, sorry about my microphone, but I believe we're going to get the results then. Tony on pole position from Sergioli.
So as your grid is Tony ahead of Sergioli in the front row, Alex Lowe from Ryder Dahl 3rd and 4th. 3rd row is Ewan Samuel Lafitte, Lifeboat and Lawrence in the 4th row. Brandon Oscar in the 5th, Hong Kong and Tom 6th, Lucas and Epic Vale in the 7th, Finley and Naslund, Naslund will be starting the back, Finley and Zara in the 8th row, Napo and Mattia on the 9th row, and Naslund will be starting at the back.
So now we look ahead to the Grand Prix. Now, very crucial change from our streams during the last game is that Well, before we would have a bit of downtime in between as we got the lobby settings changed with collisions were off in qualifying. Now we're just going to get straight into the Grand Prix. No downtime, fast action. That is what we love to see. And these drivers are going to be out on track and going for it in the race very, very shortly.
Yes, and once again, we don't have any notification of when we're going to begin. Actually, I might. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, we should be able to get underway very, very shortly, within the next couple of minutes. I would presume, of course, these drivers are all going to be setting their strategies, setting their fuel levels, and just generally getting themselves prepared for the action. I think it's really up to the drivers as to what time we're going to be getting ourselves underway. So don't go anywhere. We should be getting on track action in just a few seconds time maybe. So these drivers all making their final preparations, and yeah, it shouldn't be long at all before we do get these guys out on track and going for it for the first time proper on the F125 game.
Absolutely. I am pumped up, ready to go. I know it's a social race, but it's still going to be great to see racing back in action. As you can see, we got all the pit lanes ready. McLaren now at the front because, of course, they won the championship last year. I think about 10 years ago, they were near the bottom. Incredible.
Yeah, I mean and of course there's the famous Miami Grand Prix of 2023 where they were, essentially dead last in terms of pure pace, and they yeah, worked their way back up
Yeah.
very, very quickly, and now they're a world-beating team. So that just shows how quickly things can change around, and of course how quick things can change around here in PSGL. We are on a new game, and so some of the drivers who may have struggled in the last game, some of the drivers who might have succeeded, well, that pecking order can certainly get reshuffled. The handling's different, and well, the game as a whole is very different. So you could see certain drivers really surprising and getting themselves into contention. This new game's going to shake things up.
Well, let's see if it's going to do that. We are just waiting for everyone to get the all clear to race. The reason why I was pausing is I couldn't even get logged into my own Microsoft Teams app for my work. Brilliant.
Well, yeah, not sure. This is taking a rather long time to
Yeah, I
get
thought it
us.
would take much shorter.
So we well, Edwin Nasland has actually just posted in the Discord asking. Tom actually says the lobby host to ready up, so we should be getting underway in maybe about 30 seconds time. The drivers are finally going to get ready up, and we are finally going to get on track, Logan.
Thank goodness for that. Right. Yeah, we've been told to ready up, so fasten your seatbelt. It's going to be a bumpy ride. Well, not really, because it's Catalonia circuit. It's not Spa or Miami, I guess. Wait, Miami? But yeah, here we go. We have 5 lights ahead of our drivers. And we are underway. It is Sergio and Tony that will go head to head into the first corner, or is it going to be Alex Lofer instead? He's already got past. Not a good start to the game for the camera angles for sure. As they head into the first corner, we're going 3 wide for third place already. And we've already, for some reason, we've had some blurriness in the background, but they're going to be around turn number 3 now, and it looks like there's a battle in the midfield happening as well. That is Volkongen, who's edged out by the Ferrari of Epic Vale. And there's, they've got a big spinner there. That's Napple, the lone Williams in tonight's race, has been involved in an incident and has sent him right to the back of the pack and has caught some drivers in it as well. There's a battle between Hazard and Volkongen for 11th. Volkongen's lost a few positions, I think, in that first few corners, but he's now fighting with Hazard still, and now Hazard is forced to fight with Oscar in the Mercedes. And now is he going to try to dive in? No, he's trying to defend his position into the beginning of the third sector, and now it's cost Oscar to go wide, but Tony is the overwhelming leader by 1.6 seconds after lap number 1.
What an incredible start, checking out and getting himself away. He's decided to burn most of his ERS and to good use. Look at that, storming away GT10 Tony, who again is dominated from the start of this evening and still continuing on that way. Further down the field, they're still battling Oscar and Hazara into turn 1 in the second lap. Hazara does in the end have to yield in that McLaren. He's got to be wary of Tom as well in the Kicksauber behind him. Just on that first lap there, Napple was caught in a 3-wide situation at turn 4 and went around and collected Finley. That's why the two of those are now down at the back of the field. Doesn't look to be major damage and they are still running just fine, but a big cost in terms of track position. The highest gainer on that start was Epic Vale in the Ferrari, up 4 positions I should say, to 10 10 positions in one lap would be absolutely astonishing, but up to P10, going very, very strongly, tucked in that train, and that train runs down the entire field with the exception, of course, of our race leader, who, as you said, Logan, has absolutely checked out.
And we've just seen Tom lose position to Hazara. Hazara is now up 3 places. It could have been 4 or 5 if he got past Oscar and Volkongan, but you'll have to wait another time to get back up there. But I lied about Volkongan. He's actually lost no places. I thought he just had a great start, I guess, and he's just went back to square one. But now he's going to try and get ahead of Epic Vale as they head down the stretch. But it looks like he's not going to be close enough to make a move.
Now, one thing that's very much worth noting on this new game, there is a big change to the Dirty Air. The Dirty Air, which was practically non-existent on F124, is much more prevalent now. Now, that's not bringing an end to the DRS trades, as you can clearly see by the way these guys are running out on track, but it's much harder to follow when you're within a couple of tenths. That's not going to hold back Volkongan, though, as he tries running outside of Epic Vale. Runs a bit too deep, though, at turn 5 around the outside in the end. Couldn't quite get that manoeuvre completed. He is on the medium tires as opposed to the hards in front, as Finley has gone off indeed. Just coming out of turn 5 in the Mercedes. He was running at the back of the field anyway, and he does have wing damage as well on that Mercedes. He runs off the road too at turn 7, so a disastrous start to the evening for SCI Finley. And yeah, any comeback in this race, I imagine, would have to be massively aided by a potential safety car, because he is a long way off. As,
I forgot the safety car existed.
Yeah, so that could change. Actually, I believe the first lobby for this evening had quite a number of safety cars, so that can also change the way things run. As Volkongan is still trying to attack Epic Vale, and he's the other than Tony, who's leading the race, he's the next highest running driver. As actually Finley decides to call it a night in the pit lane, so we'll see nothing more out of the Mercedes driver. But what I was going to mention is the. That indeed we're down to 18 runners in the race, so hopefully we don't see too much more of that. But the man in P11, Volkongan, who's been repeatedly attacking Epic Vale in front, has the medium tyres, and other than the race leader Tony, he's the highest running driver on those tyres. Most drivers have opted for the medium, so he's got to try and use these early laps while the mediums are still fresh to get on the move. But overtaking already proving in this DRS train to be very tough. Overall, overtaking much more difficult on this game than the last.
Don't know whether that's a good or a bad thing. For me, it's probably a bad thing, but I guess for realism, it's pretty good. But then again, in the real world, we want to actually have close races like the Indy 500 has been for the many years it's been on. When are we going to get that in this game? Oh wait, wrong game. Anyway, 2-second lead now for Tony. We've only completed 4 laps this track. Remember, 33 to be completed to win the race. But he's already built up a big lead already, and that surely he's going to have to come down soon, because those medium tyres will not last long compared to the hards. Finley's car on the track has been recovered, so there's no yellow flag there. Yeah, it is hard to find any battles on track right now. I think Oscar and Volkongan, the two Shazoo drivers, and then there's of course Owen and Alex Lofer for second and third. Sorry for the quick scroll here, but as you can see, closing up in that that new Aston Martin, which has only been seeing Stroll score until this round, of course. Alonso scored, but of course no Lance Stroll, so Alonso had to do the heavy lifting for the team.
Well, so we see the Aston Martin tonight, driven by Owen, does get on as he's tracking Alex very closely. It's these last couple of corners, this last corner especially, where following is a bit more difficult. He ships it down in the 6th gear, keeps it flat out critically,
Here we go.
gets on that overtake button with the DRS. He is closing in, but is he closing quick enough? The Red Bull is going to be under pressure, and Owen is going to go through. Looks like it's going to be relatively straightforward as they swap on the entry to turn number 1. Owen moves up into second position, 1.6 seconds shy of the lead of Tony. They've began to chip away at the gap. As he said, the medium tyres, while they are good round here and can go a long way, they're never going to be as durable as the hard tyres. So Owen and Alex have begun to work their way back towards the race leader and try and reclaim that DRS as Tony locks up still huge amounts of tyre smoke on this game. That hasn't changed from F124, so keep an eye on that gap. That's the critical one to look out for. In terms of brakes in the train, though, Epic Vale in the Ferrari is the one potentially struggling to stay with the drivers in front. He's just ticked over a second to Lawrence in front, so Epic Vale in that Ferrari, he's had to resist a lot of attacks from Volakongen, but his pace seems to be suffering a little bit as the top 9 begin to break clear.
Yes, they are. As you see, Lawrence and Epic Vale separated by over DRS threshold, and now it's going to be much more difficult for Volakongen, or not Volakongen, Epic Vale to get into the top 9. As you can see now, the 1-2 of Red Bull has been negated by Owen, who is now charging towards Tony, who is on the better tyre. Alex Lofer wants that position back, but he's not going to be close enough to make the move. We have a move. That is Volakongen on Oscar. And now he is into 10th place, and Epic Vale, Epic Vale wasn't he 10th a few minutes ago? Now he's down to 12th.
It was, he got absolutely swapped down the straight by those two.
No, that's not what you want to see if you're Epic Vale or a Fry fan like me. I mean, it wasn't overtaken by a Sauber yet. So, as you see, a lot of smoke. Looks like we've got the smoke machines down force today. That was supposed to be at the Eurovision Song Contest, but they mistakenly delivered it here and it's not into Basel.
Out on track. Volakongen is critically, after making that move, he's managed to bridge his way back across into the RS. So he's still got really good, strong pace on that medium tyre, working his way nicely back into contention of the cars in front. So Volakongen's still very much in this race, and that medium to hard strategy is actually pretty good around here. The hards have decent enough pace at the end to hang on against the mediums, and Volakongen pitting and the other medium runners can gain a bit by pitting in a bit earlier, as we're going to get a swap for second position. Alex is going to reclaim that second place from Owen. Both these guys are trying to save as much battery as they can. They were a bit lower out of the start, whereas Tony is still burning. He's actually completely out almost of battery, working very, very hard to keep these chasing drivers at arm's length. Alex and Owen are playing a bit more of a long game, and they trust that the pace and the race is going to come to them. My goodness, it really is impossible to see at turn 5 with the amount of tyre smoke down there. There aren't too many big braking zones on this track, luckily, so the driver should get clear vision throughout the majority of them. But yes, still Tony at the front, but Alex is chopping away at the gap on this lap, using a bit more of his battery, the gap down to 1.5 seconds. So Tony holding on for the moment, but the rest of the field have not let him off the hook. Tony with a bit of oversteer in the middle of turn 10. Alex trying to draw nearer now as the hards begin to improve in pace.
Yes, you can tell it's now 1.6, it was around 2 seconds as recently as 1 or 2 laps ago, but now heading into lap number 9, that lead is starting to disappear, and now they're going to have to think strategy when we get to the pit stops. Of course, we're going to look like we're going to go medium hard. Is that a move from Lawrence? Possibly. No, he's just going to the right, I think, to get out the dirty air. But he's now, actually, he's got a fantastic run on Brando. Must have had a bad exit out of the turn. But Lawrence now starting to close up. Into turn 4 we go, but it looks like that gap is just now diminished and is now back to half a second.
Yeah, when he got within a couple of tenths of a second in turn 3, he hits that dirty air again. When you get within a couple of tenths, it's so powerful on this game, and so he had no grip to be able to apply that pressure. Still, Lauren's looking pretty competitive and pacey, trying to apply that pressure, but as we can see, it's so much more difficult than it was in the last game to make those overtakes. And certainly in that pack, other than Volakonkin and Oscar sweeping past Epic Vale and a couple of position changes between Alex and Owen, the rest of the train has held pretty steady so far. It's Lafiti in 7th now, though, who's struggling to hold on to that DRS.
Yes, he is. He's now 9 tenths down, and he's got Brando for company behind him. There could be a change in here, but we'll have to see up in the coming laps. Don't think he's going to do it right now, but I'll tell you who could. Tom is going to get past Hazara, and Hazara didn't even seem to challenge. He just whizzed past, did Tom, and he's now up into 13th. And also, what's going on here? Napla Mashimanga having a battle for the high place of P17.
Getting very, very feisty out there on track for every possession, of course. These drivers are still battling out. There's no championship points on offer, so really these guys are just racing for a bit of pride, exactly. Up at the front, though, that gap does seem to be shut over as Alex draws nearer to Tony.
Yeah, they are fighting for pride. It is Pride Month, after all. And we've got an incident. I think that's Nasland. It's just not been his day, is it, as Nasland? He's now went out of his turn 7, I think. Yes, and now he's well behind. He's 3.4 seconds down. And now he will be entering lap 11. The first third of the race is about to be completed. When this lap completes, of course. Is there any fighting for the move? Not really, but I tell you what is changing. Look at the gap! How did that get down so fast? I think Tony's medium tyres are starting to fall out of favour now. Now he's going to have to think, when are we going to pit? Is he going to undercut? I think it's a bit too early to pit now, but my word. Big chance for Alex Lofer to take the lead from his own opponent. Well, it's not his own opponent, his teammate. And also, Owen and Rydadal will get involved too, so it's going to get very interesting, hopefully, but no guarantees on that.
Yeah, Alex's pace was pretty blistering when he took over the front of that chase, because once he got into second place, the gap rapidly came down, and just as he got the DRS, that's enough. Once you get onto that main straight, you gain so much time. So Alex was able to close his way up towards Tony, and now he can try and think about a move through. These guys are teammates for tonight, but there isn't really much of an inter-team connection between them, it must be said. They are, for all intents and purposes, big rivals for this evening, and Alex, as well as closing that gap, he's also got plenty of battery to use, so he can go on the offensive. He might not be near enough just yet as they head out of the final corner onto the 12th lap of 33 here at Catalunya, but that gap so small now for the lead, and Alex closing in rapidly. He's lifting though at the end of the straight. He didn't want to pull that move just yet, but he's right in possession and looks primed to take the lead of this race as Tony, as you said, begins to approach that point where he's got to be thinking about coming in.
You see from his reel, look how close Alex Lofer's coming, and look how Owen's coming too. He is just absolutely blitzing it, but it's a matter of time when he's going to get through. When though? Alex Lofer now, as we enter the second third of this race here at Circuit de Barcelona Catalunya. Next year will not be hosting the Spanish Grand Prix. It looks like it's going to be hosted in Madrid at the IFEMA Madrid circuit, which will be, I think, a street circuit, sort of. Half street circuit, half like purpose designed temporarily. And look at this, Owen's going to go for the move around the stadium section. The third to last corner, that was a bold move, but it doesn't look like it's going to work. He has applied some pressure though. This could get very feisty. We got 5 drivers, maybe 6 fighting for the lead. Heading down the stretch, here we go.
Here we go now, Alex picking up that slipstream. Huge move, and Tony is not going to have a defence against that. Owen is trying to follow through, but there's just not enough time. He runs out of road, but Tony is offline at turn 2, and Owen is up on the outside of turn number 3. Tries to swap underneath and go on the attack once again. Owen and Tony now side by side for P2 on the road, and Tony is going to have to back out of that one, and Owen is going to go through. So fantastic tenacious driving from the Aston Martin. Gets himself into P2, and he's managed to keep the range as well of Alex. He's still got DRS, so he's still all good in that train as Tony begins to struggle to hang on those medium tyres. We are, as you said, though, getting Peters, Epic Vale, Tom, Hazara, Lucas and Mattia Manga all came in on that last lap. Epic Vale and Tom gambling, going an awful long way on medium tyres, but the rest of the drivers staying out. But that does indicate we are now getting towards the point where these drivers are all going to be heading towards that pit lane and getting fresh tyres on.
Gambling? That was last week in Monaco. Oh wait, hold on, not that kind of gambling. Right. This is going to get interesting. Tony has pit, as I said he would. And now Ryderdale will take over in the podium spots for the meantime, because they're going to have to pit as well on the alternate strategy. Now, will work out for Tony. He is going to be pitting on the medium tyres. He's going to go into the hards. He has to, because you've got to use two different compounds. Those are the rules. And he comes out. I believe he will come out in 12. And there he goes. And that's probably calmed things down at the front. These guys on the alternate strategy, well, Alex Lover is starting to run away, but he was like a second ahead, but now he's just down to 9 tenths now. He's going to have to make it a very fast stint here if he wants any chance of catching Tony or beating Tony.
You might even be thinking about pitting. I'm not sure. This is relatively early to pit off of the hards and onto the mediums, but I don't imagine he wants to give up that DRS range, and also doesn't want to give up the track position he currently has out on track. We'll see if he does decide to extend as the Red Bull driver heads to the end of the lap. He does decide to extend, so he wants to try and keep those hard tyres going. It is a long way to go on mediums from here to the end, so these guys are going to stay out. And really now, for the likes of Tony, as Oscar comes in from the back of that train off of the mediums, that seems like a very logical decision. But Tony on the hards is going to be the one to watch now. He's looking for that undercut. He's going to need a bit of a buffer, because the rest of the drivers are going to come at him on mediums. They're not going to be massively faster at this track, but there is certainly going to be an advantage that way. Cesaro gets the first, I believe, track limits penalty of the race. So yep. Tony, will keep an eye on that. As for the rest of the drivers, but yeah, the other hard runners still out there extending. So Tony now, he's got some very important laps to try and make this undercut work.
Tom set the fastest lap, but I must mention, from this season onwards, season 40, there will be no fastest lap points. It will just be 1 point for pole position. That's it. I think it's fair.
Yeah, I'm certainly not against that, and yeah, obviously they made the change in real life as well, so I think it's only logical, and I'm quite thankful as well that calculating championship permutations isn't going to be quite as complicated anymore for final races, so yeah, that should simplify things a little bit, as the drivers still pretty much all continue on track, but yeah, no point for a fastest lap. That's a very good point to mention going forward, because it's going to change the way these guys are going to go about their business out on track, and you know, potentially targeting fastest laps is going to be a thing in the past.
Well, I think it was mostly the fastest lap came from the drivers at the back, because they had nothing else to fight for, but they didn't get the point because you have to get it in the top 10, and of course that didn't happen.
And well, I suppose there is we talked about pride earlier, but I think this is also a thing where pride can be attached to it, as they're trying to have that fastest lap as a little thing to go home with. So maybe that is actually going to remain that way. Out on track, again, I've been keeping an eye on GT10 Tony. He's making good progress on those hards, but he is now coming up to traffic, and Edvin Laszlo, who's up in front of him in that Alpine. He is chasing him down, but being held up pretty heavily through this middle sector where the fresher tyres are giving him a lot more grip, but he's unable to use it because of the much older tyres on the Alpine in front. Can he get the move done quickly as they head up towards turn number 10? He finds a little bit of space on the inside line, and the Red Bull driver is going to get through. Very important move. He gets it done relatively sharpish, and puts a buffer too between himself and the chasing medium runners of Lafitte and Epic Vale. So Tony's still continuing on, and again he's going a bit off strategy from the others. Alex and co still staying out there on those hard tyres, but now we're very much in that pit window where these guys are probably in the next couple of laps going to be getting medium tyres on to go to the end of the race.
So we have a 14-second gap between Tony and Napple. Not Napple, sorry, Volakongan. It's a 4-second gap between Napple and Tony. And I'd make it, that's about 20 seconds between Tony and the top driver. But of course, as you know, there are pit stops, and then there are pit stops. So these drivers will have to come in a few laps and take on the mediums, I would imagine. By the way, Volakongan is on 16-lap mediums. 16 laps. And everyone else did 11 or 12. I think they're coming in now. Yep, they're going to go long on the mediums. Pretty much 16 laps on the mediums will be the way to go as they try and break. Lifeboat's going the extra mile, though. Or miles, I should say. Because WTF is a kilometre. Sorry. We use miles as well. Ride a second.
You just got too tempted there, didn't you, Logan? As we we have the medium runners heading at the pit lanes. I've got a terrible camera angle, but away they go, and you can see the undercut that Tony's got as they head out of the pit lane now. And leading those drivers, Alex is out behind Edvin. Also, a good undercuts from Lafitte and Epic Veil. They've managed to get themselves out in front. So that is the gap, and that is the chase that these drivers are going to have to do. Is further back, Ryder Dahl and Tom are side by side, and the RB on the inside of turn number 4 is able to pick up that possession. The 2-kick Sauber is very close on the track. Sergioli to the inside of Tom, and at turn 5 gets the move done, and that's a very important move too. With his fresher tyres, he needs to be getting on with things, and he moves up into that 13th position. Really good going from Sergioli. Oscar is the next driver up on slightly older hard tyres that these guys have got to try and navigate. Oscar, of course, will try and hang on to the train as Alex to the inside of Edvin. This is a very important move into turn 10 at the apex. He gets himself up and alongside and through goes the Red Bull. Good stuff from Alex, and he's got himself a car between himself and Owen too. Ooh. Owen trying into turn 13. Surely not. Owen gets through on Edvin Laszlo. Brilliant as the Alpine driver comes in. That was so brave from Owen. He's got to fight though to try and get back with DRS of Alex. It was a really bold move and maybe a very important one, but now he's got to try and work his way back in. Further back, Ryder Dahl on Oscar, side by side at turn 1. The Mercedes and the RB, and round the outside goes Ryder Dahl. Another fantastic move. Now we're getting these guys going to wheel racing, and Ryder Dahl gets through. He's got to work his way back to Owen. So what this pit phase has done, it's spread some of the drivers out, made them have to work for their moves, and now Logan, this race really kicking off.
Yes, and I'm still not getting the correct camera angles. As you can see, all but Lifeboat have stopped. Lifeboat definitely going very long. I'm not sure how long, but it won't be taking him to the front, that's for sure. Is he going soft? Or is he going medium? Or is he hanging for a safety car? Whoa, that's a very late pit entry. You surely get penalised for that. Then again, I don't think they'll bother. It is a social race after all. But if that were the actual race, he would definitely be given a penalty for that. He went around the bollard quite clearly. It's on my screen. So that means Tony's back in the lead, and he has 2.5 seconds, but at a tyre disadvantage, of course.
Well, he's at a tyre disadvantage to the man who's just moved into 3rd position as Alex clears Epic Veil, and that could be a crucial move to get himself now behind a car who doesn't have DRS himself, which should be a much easier car to pass. So Alex is getting on with things. Tony is his target, and he's going to try and chase that gap down. He's also got to be wary of the likes of Owen, Ryder Dahl and Sergioli behind, who now themselves are getting held up behind the Ferrari of Epic Veil. Owen himself tucked in behind through this middle sector, but can't quite find a way through at the moment. It's so difficult to overtake at this part of the track as you don't really get any significant braking zones. There could be a run in the turn 10, but he's going to have to cope with the dirty air through turn 9 if he wants to pull that one off. Here they go now, the Ferrari and the Aston Martin trying to close in, but it doesn't look like Owen is going to be able to get that one done. So Epic Veil falling back, and Alex now with a clear run at Lafitte and a clear chance at breaking the DRS to the cars behind and finally getting after Tony.
Yeah, Alex Lofer wants to get past his teammate, but as you can see, he is unable to get past Laffiti, yeah, oh, he's went right over the curb. Right over the curb, as you can see Epic Vale defending for his life from Owen07. And they're going to move, and there's going to be move there, there's damage! Oh, what is that? What is that? Have I just seen? And there's a massive crash. It's it's a safety car, but what in the world was that? Owen has lost his front wing. That was the collision with Epic Vale. Another car has had a massive incident, I think, or is that Epic Vale? I don't know who. That was ridiculous. So we've got Owen07 without a wing. Oscar looks fine. I'm sure there was a third car involved. I could check the replay wise, but that's a safety car, and this is not good news for some drivers. All those drivers are pit. I've got fresh tyres, basically, compared to Tony. And now everyone's going to be ganging up on Tony. This is not great for Tony.
I am in shock, Logan, at what we've just seen. I managed to catch the incident as well, as it was Owen that had a run on Epic Vale down the straight. Then Epic Vale seemed to squeeze across towards Owen, and well, after that, they both just spear off into the wall. Because we've only seen it once, I don't want to pass to any further comment on that, but it didn't look good, is all I'll say. As now we'll see. Yeah, he will, of course, get a new wing. That was very major, well, a complete loss of a front wing. As now the drivers all come in. As Brando does stay out, and Lawrence, and well, these guys as well as Lifeboat, they've already got pretty fresh medium tyres. So perhaps you could say, why not? Why not extend when you've still got good tyres and you give yourself that track position advantage? So Tony, Laffiti, Alex, who had to stack, has dropped back considerably into the pack. He comes out down in P7, and Raidadal, Laffiti, who were trailing him, have now moved up in front. So that certainly set Alex back. It set his teammate back, Tony, but it's especially set Alex back. But now, those three drivers who have elected to stay out, they've got slightly older tyres, but they do have the track position. This is fascinating.
Yes, it is. So Owen has had to pit for a new moustache. I'm sorry, wing. You can tell it's been a while. As you may notice, yes, all the track sponsors have also been changed. Of course, no more Rolex, Tag Heuer, and of course, Louis Vuitton has also joined the fray, which is good to see. Louis Vuitton, of course, they make bags. Lots of them. So
we, oh, sorry, go on.
Before you talk for like 10 minutes. Brando, Lawrence, and Lifeboat, I can't really blame them for not pitting. They think their tyres are fresh enough to keep the leading pack at bay. And I can tell you, Brando started P9. And what's going on here? Napple has got a penalty. A penalty for ignoring a yellow flag. He was pitting. Did he overtake someone? Or whatever it is, I think we might be seeing the... And he's had to serve the 10-second penalty now because it happened before he pit. Now, that is a fatal flaw. I have a feeling we might not be seeing the safety car, if that's the case. I have a feeling we might not be seeing the safety car in F125 if that's the case.
Yeah, so I think what's happened there is because when he decides to go into the pit lane, he thinks he doesn't have to follow that safety car lane anymore. So when he's coming into the pit, so in the process of coming into the pits, he might have overtaken a couple of cars, and that's where he's picked up the time penalty. Again, from his perspective, you think, well, he's just pitting. I'm just pitting, sorry. Why on earth am I getting a time penalty? But I think that's the explanation. In the end, it doesn't really have a huge impact on his race, because he is going to just rejoin the back of the pack, which I think is where he would have been anyway. So, not very important in this context.
Get underway
but yeah,
again,
I think that.
Sorry.
We should get underway. Yeah, the end
Yeah.
of this lap. Here we go.
Yeah, here we go. We will check the footage of why Napple got that penalty afterwards, but he has been sent at the back of the pack. I think he was going to be the back of the pack anyway, so he has served his penalty just to reward. So here we go then. It's going to be Brando that's going to lead us off. Quite an unexpected leader, I must say. My goodness, everyone else getting very racy. They want to get this on with. Look, they're going to pile up. They're not careful. Here we go. Out of the final corner, we are underway with the final 10 laps of this race. It's going to be Brando leading Lawrence, Lifeout, Tony Lafitti, and Rydal, your top six. And immediately we've got action. That is Rydal getting alongside Alex Lofer. They're going nearly 2 by 2 into the first corner. Lots of moves happening. And Rydal now up to 5th. Lafitti is at danger of being overtaken by stop changing the camera angles, darn it. Lafitti getting under attack from Sergioli and Alex Lofer. Alex Lofer is now back to 8th.
Yeah, Alex was trying to go on the offensive, but in the end, he got boxed out of the running. A great opportunistic move from Sergioli up in front. Lawrence and Lifeboat are side by side in the turn 7. The McLaren around the outside is able to see him off. That was very, very close to disaster on the exit, but they managed to hang on to it behind. Tony was getting very interested, didn't get a great run through turn 9 though, and now Rydal is looking at the back of him as they get very close nose to tail in that fight. Further back to Sergioli is looking for another move on Lafitti. Can't quite get that done as Brando's turn it is now to check out the front. The Ferrari driver putting Lawrence under a lot of pressure, trying to break that gap. Lawrence hanging on in there, but Brando putting this entire field under pressure.
DRS enabled, we're back with 9 laps to go. And it is Brando with a 7/10 of lead. Now, how's Tony getting on? He has the advantage, of course, because he's the driver leading those who pit. And, of course, he was leading most of this race. And Tom's on the penalty box. He's got 3 seconds penalty. And now Tony going after Lifeboat in the other Red Bull car. The White Bulls, I call it. No, not the White Bull that they had at the Japanese Grand Prix, which Verstappen won in. But I just call it the Visa car, really. Visa car B, but he is now trying to overtake for 3rd place. I hate these cockpit camera angles. We have 1 cockpit camera angle. Is that not enough for you? Anyway, here we go. We continue on. That's a nice camera angle. To the 3rd sector of this track, and it looks like they're all a bit spread out now. Not as racy and wheel-to-wheel as it was the previous lap, but I'm telling you, that is far from the end of the action tonight. There's going to be 8 laps to go when Brando crosses the line and he's nearly 7/10 ahead. It's going to be a big ask for Lauren to close up. I think he'll get a bit of air getting down to the first corner. In fact, he's got a lot of air. He's using his battery. Is he going to try and make the move? No, he was teasing it though. He was teasing. And that's Tony going for Lifeboat, Daka.
Yeah, that was very close. Into turn 2 at the apex. He tried to squeeze his way through, no space there, but he's the one with the fresher tyres, don't forget, than these guys in front, so he can try and go on the offensive at every corner. Could be a passing point for him. He does have to tuck in for the time being, but he's looking very, very racy indeed, just a couple of tenths behind. These 3 guys at the front though on the older tyres, there isn't a huge disadvantage, but I have to say, they're holding on very, very nicely and keeping their chances alive at the front. Track possession matters more on this game than it did in the last game, so they're holding on very nicely. Tony trying everything to get through at Lifeboat, but in this DRS train, we know those overtakes are very difficult to find.
So Tony now trying to close up once again, but I think Lifeboat's closer to Lawrence than he is to Tony. But now we head around to start the 7th to last lap of this race. My word, Lifeboat got very wide out of that corner. At least he didn't do what Verstappen did yesterday, and almost lose it. Lawrence teasing once again. He is saving it to the end. I know him very well. He likes to save it to the end. He doesn't want to make Brando overtake him on the last lap. Right back at you. But now Lifeboat's starting to close up to Lawrence. All this teasing is causing all the drivers behind him to pile behind him. So that this is not ideal if you're Lifeboat, Lawrence. But it is ideal if you are a lifeboat, because now he has a chance to make a move wherever he desires, as Matteo Manga's got a penalty for track limits as well. So it is Sergioli now starting to close up to the top 6. Look at him, he's starting to close up to Lafiti, not Latifi. Trying to get those two mixed up. It's not really difficult to. Look at the top 3, well, top 4, very close now. Daka.
Yeah, you can see Lifeboat getting very interested in the move on Lawrence. Of course, though Lawrence, as Sergioli gets a time penalty, that's going to be very, very costly. The cars behind him are clean in terms of penalties. So now, as we head onto the straight, that closing speed for Lawrence to Brando is going to be strong, but Lifeboat is closing even on him, trying to get, they're both going to storm up to the back of the Ferrari. Look at this, as they all pile into turn 1. To the inside goes Lawrence, but round the outside goes Lifeboat. Lifeboat trying to force a way through, and so is Tony taking a wide entry line in a turn 3. Lifeboat gets alongside Lawrence, but only briefly. And now the Red Bull runs into the back of the RB. He squeezes himself to the inside of turn 4, and now they're side by side up towards turn 5. Now on the outside is Tony. The inside Lifeboat. Tony trying to use all the grip he has and sails around the outside of turn number 5. Tony up in a 3rd position. There was contact, but in the end he does get it done. There's one of the 3 moves he needs. Lawrence is now the next car up the road.
It was inevitable. It was a matter of when he was going to make that move, and he did everything he could to get around, to get into that 3rd position, and he's done it. And now Rydal, interested observer, he's going to try and take his teammate's 4th place. But Tony now is charging right up to McLaren of Lawrence, who is seemingly trying everything he can to get Brando. He nearly got on the last lap, but he had to fight off Tony. It's not a safety car, by the way. Ignore that. It's just not coming off my screen. This is lap 29. Ignore the fact that it says safety car. I can't change it. And Tony right on the back of Lawrence. He's looking for that move on the inside. Of course, someone's going to take an inside line round that corner eventually, but not Tony now, and I think Tony's too far away to try and make a move. But further back, we've got some little battles here and there. This for position, it could mean everything. Look at that one. It's Max and George again. Sorry, no, that's Alex and Oscar. Wait, hold on. Those are the 2 wrong drivers. Anyway, they're fighting for 8th and 9th, and Sergioli, who has a penalty, is trying to get ahead of Lafiti. He could do it here. It's very wide. I think that's where he got his penalty. But Rydal is going to go down the inside of his teammate, but he collides and he's going to lose some vital time with that. Not vicious time. Well, it was a vicious move, but it's cost him vital time. And he's now got Lifeboat. It's actually affected his teammate as well. Lifeboat now 7 temps down to Tony, as Tony plots another move.
They're both going to close up to the back of Brando, though, and Lawrence is trying not to get through. That's very clear, but that's going to give Tony the opportunity. Round the outside of turn 1, they bang wheels at the apex of turn 2. Lawrence is pinched on the inside of 3, though, and Tony is going to go through. Lawrence has closed up to the back of Brando lap after lap. He's tried to keep that P2. He was trying to play the long game, but that's what it opens you up to. Attacks from behind. He's seen off one from Lifeboat, but he could not do the same with Tony, and GT10 Tony takes full advantage, gets in a P2. Lawrence tried to play the games, but ultimately that's how it can end. Tony is up into P number 2. That's 2 down, 1 to go.
And this helps Brando, because all that battling has allowed Brando to clear off. He's now 7 tenths. We've got a battle there between Alex and Oscar again, but it looks like Oscar is not going to be able to get past. Can you try the inside here? That would be bold. No, he's not. So it looks like he is going to stay in P9 for the meantime. But yeah, Lawrence just is playing around with Brando too much, and it cost him. He should have been seeing what was coming behind him. He should have made the move, I think, on Brando to take the lead. He never meant he was going to lose at the next lap. But now Brando, he's going to have to deal with Tony, and this could bring Lawrence back into play. Brando's going to have to be defensive here to the very end, or he could just play the dummy game, but playing the dummy game, or playing a game of chicken, is probably not a good idea with these new physics, especially if they're very, very being tested. You know what I mean.
And Yeah, I fully understand, and yeah, just those games can. Oh, Sergioli to the inside of Lafitte. That was very, very late, and the Aston Martin is able to hold on around the outside. Sergioli knows he
Oh, finally
has a
it's gone.
time penalty, and yeah, finally that safety car. I was seeing the exact same thing as you, so we're all good now, and yeah, we have had green flags the entire time. So Sergioli though, very aggressively hunting down Lafitte, making big dives into some of these corners. In the end, though, they haven't quite been coming off Logan.
Tony's made some ground on Brando. Brando did not have a good exit out of that turn. And now he's going to close up and is going to the second to last lap. We'll have a chance to take the lead before the last lap. So here we go. Is this the time Tony takes the lead? What's Brando got left in the tank? Let's see what happens when we head down to turn number 1. Oh, it might not even be a contest. Brando, or, well, Tony's just backing off, but I think that's all strategic because, of course, he will have a disadvantage the last lap if he got past. Surely it's Tony's to lose now. Lawrence is trying to get back into this, and so is Lifeboat. So Tony has to be careful here. He doesn't make any mistakes, or there will be an even bigger battle for the win.
Yeah, he's got to be very careful, but
Sergioli
he
move.
does know. Sergioli again trying on Lafitte, and this time he gets through, Logan.
He just burst through there. He was just struggling to get through, but he has got through, and now he is in as Alex Lofer's got a penalty. It's just gotten worse for Alex Lofer. He will not be winning this race, that's for certain. He will. Sergioli, he has a penalty. And a move from Oscar finally on Alex Lofer, and Alex Lofer now down to 9th place. But now we got to go to the big battle. Surely Tony has to make the move now. But at the same time, Brando has energy, so he can defend with this. A lot more energy than Tony. Brando is going to have to use all of it here. Look at all the battery is seriously losing it. Final lap, they go to the inside. Tony's going to have to go to the outside here, and he's going to make it and takes the lead on the last lap, and a big slide for Brando. And surely Tony has wrapped this up. Look at all the speed he's got.
Away goes GT10 Tony. He had to use absolutely every bit of his battery to get it done, but he was close enough out of that final corner. He had the run on the straight. He had the straight line speed to see it through, and Tony now leads. And as you said, Logan, it should be just about as good as done. Behind, Alex and Volakongan are battling, heading out of turn 5. The Haas trying to go around the outside. He's going to have to yield that one, and Alex holds at least one of those possessions, at least for the time being. Volakongan trying to attack still, but yeah, that was brilliant from Tony. He just got the run he needed, saved us just enough battery to get the move done. Brando is closing back in, but surely there's no way back to here from here.
They're battling for 3rd place, but Lawrence looks like he's going to fight them off. But now to the final few corners, there will be no more opportunities for Brando for sure. Tony, who had led from the start till the pit stops, is going to resilient and win in Spain. What a win for Tony. And Brando will have to settle for 2nd. Lawrence comes in 3rd, Lifeboat in 4th, and Rydal completes the top 5.
Woo! I tell you what, GT10 Tony, when you think no one else could make the moves on those drivers who had stayed out under the safety car, that just shows the amount of speed he had, the great decisions he made. He lost out as a result of that safety car. Remember, he was leading the race pretty comfortably up to that point, but he made the right moves when no one else could, and he has been rewarded with the race win. The critical moment being that move on Lifeboat, I have to say, with a few laps to, or not on Lifeboat, sorry, on Lawrence, with a few laps to go, being able to get that spectacular move round the outside of turn number 1. And yeah, in the end, the move on Brando he set up from a long way out, had the speed to get it done, and in the end, takes the race win. Spectacular driver. We'll run through the rest of the results. I think you ran through the top 5, Logan. So P6 is Lafitte, from then Oscar, Volakongan, Owen, and Sergioli rounding out the top 10.
I've got nothing on my screen. Oh, I've got nothing on my screen. They'll see it. Some things have just not been fixed.
I'll run through the rest of it though, just in case. So Napple, Alex, Hazara, Mattia Manga, Lucas, Tom, and Edvin round out the grid. The drivers that finished Epic Vale and Finley were unable to see the checkered flag. That is it for the first social race on the PlayStation platform, the second lobby of the evening. It's a great showdown for the win at the end. But yeah, that's the first social of this game in the books.
No, actually, the second social. There was one hour earlier.
Yes, this is the second lobby, I should say. Yeah.
Showing disrespect to the first lobby organised by our own Big C.
Oh, come on, don't do that.
I just did. Well, that's going to do it. Hopefully this is just the first of many social races before the eventual Season 40, and I can't wait for that. Anyways, I'm glad you could join us for this race, and I'd like to say thank you to you for watching. Next week, well, we don't know if there will be a race next week. We don't know if there will be anything. But whenever that will be, Season 40 is coming around the corner. You just wait. It's going to be one heck of a season. Yes, the same tracks as before, but believe me, the wait will be worth it. I've been Otaku Logan, he's been Daka. Until Season 40 or in the next social races, good night to you all, and enjoy PSGL when it comes.